Okay, this is the Super Smart Guy podcast. Your host, Keith Ledig, addressing something, a topic. Are you a producer or a consumer? If you're a producer, it's what it says. You produce products, services. You might be a thought generator. It doesn't have to be tangible things like goods you can handle or material items. You could come up with ideas. You could be a writer. Artists are producers. Now, a consumer, it's exactly what that sounds like. A consumer is the most famous, the most widely recognized consumers are those who purchase consumer goods in stores, retail stores. So I would say people who purchase retail items from, big ticket stores, department stores, the mall, people who sit in front of the television and watch all day long, they're consumers. They're not shopping with money, but they are spending their time, they're taking things in, they're using things, they're not producing things. What you could say is that a producer creates quality and value. They create value. And a consumer doesn't subtract value from the world necessarily, but a consumer takes value, uses it. And we need both, and both are important in life. So it's not bad to be a consumer, and it's not necessarily good to be a producer. Although if you're producing quality products to make the world a better place, you're adding value. If you're providing quality content, if you're an artist producing beautiful things that make people think, that help people's lives. If you invent things, inventors are producers. And consumers are not necessarily bad. You could be, students going to college are consumers. In the beginning, they only consume. Costs a lot of money, and tuition costs, books, etc. And it's a drain on the economy as far as they're a burden initially, but it's an investment. Businesses that are starting out initially are consumers. They spend more than they earn. They consume more than they produce initially. So students and startups in business, they're initially consumers, but they go on to produce and produce great things. So consumption can be a good thing. Actually, I argue to say that consumption's a requirement, a precursor to production. In almost all cases. Think about the greatest artists. They had to learn their craft before they could produce. So pretty much all producers started off as consumers. And it's an ecosystem. If you have all producers and no consumers, then what value does the produced product have, product or service? If you don't have consumers, your product has no value. Let's take us podcasters here and writers and business people who produce webinars, content that coach, that help other people. We're producing knowledge, wisdom, advice, all books and different products. So to be consumed. We want people to consume them. The more people that consume them, the better. Consumers are awesome. They are your customer. You could almost fit the word consumer and customer. I'm sure those words are related. And those consumers are what give your product value. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, who cares, right? So you want your consumers. And actually, many people spend a lot of time trying to attract consumers. Wouldn't you want 10,000 people on your email list? 100,000 is even better. 1 million, woohoo, it's party time. Well, those are consumers. So value the consumer and value the producer. It's an ecosystem. Now, if you're all consume, no produce, that could be a bad thing. The traditional lazy bum that sits on the couch and doesn't have a job and just mooches off whatever, that maybe the son that doesn't have a job, that lives in mom's basement, that eats her food and watches TV and plays video games all day long. It's a humorous metaphor, but there's an example of a bad consumer because they just consume, right? They don't produce. So I think it's a balance. A balance is required. You want quality production, right? There's a lot of crap out there. Let's be honest. There's a lot of crap that's produced. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that buy that crap. Low quality products, products that are bad for you. Like, okay, let's say junk food. You know, I'm not an advocate for junk food. I like eating a snack here and there, but I like to try and make it a healthy snack. Like some kind of whole food based chocolate, as opposed to some super processed Hostess cupcake, although, oh my God, they're so good. You know, they manufacture these Hostess cupcakes to be irresistible. You know, I love them. Sorry, I digress. So those are producers of cupcakes that I could be a consumer of a Hostess cupcake, but I don't, that's not a good consumption, you know? A good consumption would be like a whole food, like a fruits and vegetables and free range cows and organic chickens and stuff. And the producers would be the farms that the people in agriculture that produce those products. So you can have good quality producers and quality consumers. And then you have things like the awesome content that we see generated on the websites, podcasting. I love podcast. What an awesome thing. Power to the people, grassroots. That's what podcasting is all about. You know, there's no barriers. Anyone with a laptop and a microphone and an internet data plan can be a podcaster. And I think that rocks. You know, you're putting the power into the hands of the people when you do that. You know, like these record labels that control music, they could be considered producers. They even use the word producer professionally as a title for their profession, right? But those are, I'm not a fan of the record companies because they would jack up the prices, control. I mean, that's like a monopoly, right? And then the internet comes along and now you have the artist, who in my opinion was the victim. The artist and the consumer. The artist is the ultimate producer, right? Makes the record album. And the consumer, the fan that buys that record, that album. Oh my God, I'm dating myself. That CD. Oh, I'm dating myself. The MP3. So those are the good guys, right? And then the bad guy is that producer, the one in the middle who kind of like controls what records get produced and which ones don't. What a shame. You got so many talented artists out there that get turned down because some producer in some, you know, office that overlooks Fifth Avenue or whatever, they don't feel like that artist is going to sell 1 million albums. So they're like, see ya. And that could be the most talented artist that was ever born. And then they jack up the prices, so then the consumers get gouged, right? So then the internet comes along, and it's the great equalizer. So now, not only can you produce an album, put it on the internet, and sell directly to the consumer. How awesome is that? Podcast the same way. Takes the power out of the radio producers and the syndicated shows, TV and radio shows, and then lets consumers who have internet access on demand, anytime they want, whatever they want, they can search. They can listen to your first episode or your most recent episode the same night, within seconds. How cool is that? So there's technology is the revolution, bringing the power to the people. Viva la revolucion with the internet, and competition lowers the price too. If it wasn't for competition, the internet would only be for rich people. So there's something to be said about the competition. And then technology constantly lowers the price. Like this laptop, this Lenovo Yoga laptop, would have been thousands of dollars back in the day, or actually it didn't even exist back in the day. Something a fraction of the speed, that's heavier and bulkier and with significantly less capability existed. But these producers came along and they engineered CPUs that were faster and smaller and lighter weight and used less power and could do more things. So now we have producers producing fantastic things, leveraging technology. We got consumers that are consuming fantastic things because of the technology revolution. They get these things they can consume at a lower price and better quality and more selection. How awesome is that? So this digressed from what the definition of producer and consumer to the impact that producer and consumer have and how they've evolved. But I think it's a system. It's an ecosystem. So you can't really treat one separated. They're all intertwined, intercombined. Okay, so YouTube. YouTube is the revolution of TV. Cable TV, well, broadcast TV died, and then cable TV took over. Now cable TV is dying, and the on-demand is coming. Look at how Netflix basically destroyed Blockbuster, the in-store video thing, and then cable TV is on the downfall, however you want to call it. It's the on-demand, the internet's going to take over. All what's going to happen is cable TV is just going to transition from a wire going to your house to being on the internet, So like we have Bright House cable TV, whatever your cable TV provider is called, there's going to be .com. And they're going to offer exactly what they offer now, but over the internet. And then instead of having to wait till 4 o'clock to DVR your show or whatever, you just stream it on demand like Netflix and Hulu and all the Amazon Prime and all these other things do now, right? But the power to the people is podcasting for radio, lets anyone become a podcaster, and lets any consumer on demand stream whatever they want at any time, from the first episode to the most recent. YouTube takes the video, the TV production, out of the hands of the few and powerful, puts it in the grassroots, you and me. So now we can be television producers. We can be TV show content producers, which is awesome. And then, oh shucks. I had a couple other examples of that I thought were profound. Oh well, maybe I'll have to make a part 2 of this. So I look at it as an ecosystem, is that the advancement of technology has created the ability to produce and consume, given both producers and consumers more power, more abilities to provide more quality content at any time to you. And then the producer is just as valuable as the consumer, because the consumer is required, without the consumer, a producer, it's like a walkie-talkie, one walkie-talkie. Who are you going to talk to if you only have one, right? So the producer talks to the consumer, and vice versa, feedback. Your website, you put stuff out and you get feedback. Oh, you like this, you don't like that. I'll do more of this, less of that. You like it when I improve the quality of my audio on my podcast. I'll do more of that. You like interview shows? I'll do more of that, right? Book reviews, I'll do more of that. So the bottom line is it's a feedback loop. It's a systemic ecosystem with feedback loops to where the producers and the consumers talk to each other, and one needs the other. One cannot survive without the other. Oh, this sounds all like Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. All right, so I hope that helped. I hope it was interesting. And leave me feedback and let me know if you like these little quick tips. This all started because I was talking to a fellow podcaster friend who asked the question about producers and consumers. And I know I did an episode on that, and I can't remember which episode it was. So I thought I'd come out with this summary. Thanks, and have a nice day.